Productivity, the all-important metric pretty much any company in the world talks about. But what makes someone productive? Is it work ethic, time management, locking in? Or is it having a monitor that helps you become more productive? Yeah, it might be that. Hey, I'm Nicholas from Ratings.com. Today we're going to review the Dell U3225QE. It's a 32-inch 4K monitor in Dell's UltraSharp lineup, sitting alongside the 27-inch U2725QE and the 40-inch U4025QW. It's packed with a ton of features that are meant to help you be more productive with different devices and computers. But do you need those extra features? And is this monitor worth getting? Before we get into the specifics, let's look at the design. It looks like an office monitor with that typical Dell design that we've all become used to. There's nothing that really stands out, but that's probably a good thing for a work monitor. Its stand is also very ergonomic, so it's easy to adjust to your preferred position. This also helps if you often need to adjust your screen to show a coworker or client. Plus, the stand holds the screen well, but there's still a bit of wobble if you have it on an unstable desk. There's also a cutout in the stand to help keep your cables organized. This is pretty useful because you might have all kinds of cables connected to the monitor. This is because it has so many inputs. Besides the DisplayPort and HDMI video inputs, you can also connect to the monitor over USB-C. It supports DisplayPort Alt Mode and Thunderbolt 4, plus it has 140 watts of power delivery, so you can connect your laptop to work with it and charge it with one cable. Next to these video inputs, it also has video outputs meant for daisy chaining. And because there are two of them, you could connect two monitors directly to this one. Or you could connect other displays in a typical daisy chain as long as your computer supports it. For example, when we tried this typical daisy chain with a MacBook, we couldn't get an image on the third screen, but it worked with our testing PC that has an RTX 5080 graphics card. But don't worry, this monitor works well with Macs besides that, and there aren't any compatibility issues. And wait, there are even more inputs. It has two USB-Cs in a recessed port underneath the bottom bezel, and 5 total USB-As to which you could connect a variety of devices. There's another USB-C upstream port on the back that you need to use for the KVM switch. This allows you to use all your devices while switching between two computers, like if you want to connect a work and personal laptop. It even has an Ethernet port that's useful if you want to have a wired connection to the internet. So yes, all in all, this monitor is pretty useful for connecting different devices and computers, and you won't have to worry about switching cables around at the end of the day. It pretty much serves as a USB hub without you buying an external one. Tons of features for an office monitor, eh? But how does it perform? First off, the high 4K resolution makes text look sharp. Using Windows ClearType helps make letters look bolder, so they're easier to read. Plus, with a 32-inch screen, there's plenty of space to open your web pages and documents next to each other. If you work in a bright office space, you should also know that this monitor gets bright enough to fight glare, whether you're using it in SDR or HDR. Sure, you shouldn't place the screen directly in front of a sunny window, but the screen coating does a good job at minimizing reflections. Unfortunately, it's not as good of a choice to use in a dark room. Even though it uses enhanced IPS black technology, and the contrast ratio is better than most IPS monitors, blacks still look gray. It also struggles to maintain an even black level throughout the screen with backlight bleed. And sadly, this is even worse if you use HDR. This is because the edge-lit local dimming feature is always on in HDR. It performs terribly and there's no way to turn it off. It causes a ton of blooming and loss of details. Simply put, it's better to switch back to SDR if you find it distracting, because then the local dimming feature isn't available. But whether you're using the monitor in SDR or HDR, it displays a wide range of colors in common color spaces, from sRGB to Rec 2020. There are some minor inaccuracies, like with blue and red in the Adobe RGB color space, but it looks good overall. Of course, if you're a content creator, you'll also want to know what it looks like without any calibration in SDR. It has a dedicated sRGB setting that you could select from the preset modes, and it locks colors well to the sRGB color space. There are minimal color inaccuracies, and even the color temperature and gamma are close to their targets. But the white balance is off, and you need to calibrate it to fix that. Alright, we can't do a monitor review and forget about gaming. And Dell didn't forget about gaming when they designed this monitor. Sure, gaming isn't the main purpose of this monitor, but it's still nice to get some perks for gaming after work. Unlike many office monitors, it has a 120Hz refresh rate. This gives it a smoother and more responsive feel compared to 60Hz monitors, which is nice if you have to game or quickly scroll through long documents. Just keep in mind that your computer needs an HDMI 2.1 graphics card if you want to get the max refresh rate over HDMI. Speaking of this HDMI 2.1 bandwidth on the monitor, this allows you to take full advantage of a PS5 or Xbox. It supports any signal up to 4K at 120Hz, including with VRR on either console. This makes it a good choice if you want to kick back and game on your console at the end of your workday, or in the middle of it. Gaming on it also feels responsive thanks to its low input lag at any refresh rate. But the biggest downside when it comes to gaming is the fact that fast-moving objects look blurry. It has a pretty slow response time at any refresh rate, so you'll see blur behind fast-moving objects. Sure, it's still fine for gaming, especially if you play slow-paced games, but this is definitely the biggest difference between this monitor and a dedicated gaming monitor. And that's pretty much what you need to think about when comparing it to other monitors before making a buying decision. Do you want the high-end feature set of the Dell, or better gaming performance? Take the Gigabyte M32U for example. It's another 4K 32-inch monitor, and in terms of picture quality for work, it's pretty similar. They share the same sharp text clarity, wide viewing angles, and accurate colors. Sure, the Dell gets brighter and has better reflection handling, so it's better to use in a bright room. But the main advantage of getting the Gigabyte is the better motion handling when gaming. While it has a USB hub and KVM switch like the Dell 2, it just has less ports available and doesn't support Thunderbolt or high power delivery. So this is where you have to think about your needs when comparing these two monitors. Size and budget are other things to think about. Dell has other similar monitors in the UltraSharp lineup with many of the same features, but different screen sizes. Two of those are the smaller 27-inch U3225QE and the wider 40-inch U4025QW. Both of these have massive USB hubs with KVM switches, Thunderbolt, and daisy chaining. So if you don't like the 32-inch screen, you have other options. With all that said, is it worth getting? If you want an office monitor with a ton of features, there's no question it's worth getting. It has everything you need for work, and there really isn't much to knock against it. It serves as an all-in-one solution to getting both a monitor and a USB hub, so even though it's expensive, you won't have to spend extra on other accessories. But that's exactly what you need to think about. It's not the screen that makes it expensive, it's the added perks. Do you want or even need all of its features? And are you willing to pay more for them? If not, there are plenty of other 32-inch 4K monitors that are more basic, cost less, and are still good enough for work, like the new S3225QS for example. That's all for the Dell U3225QE. If you want more details, check out our written review. The link is in the description below. Until next time, I'm Nicholas from Ratings.com, where we help you find the best product for your needs. Ciao. Your console at the end of your workday, or in the middle of it. It didn't go down. I didn't even know how excited that after.
I'm gonna also keep the awkward pause in it.
Yeah. Just the prompter's just like, nah.